So Salazzle is a pretty much special attack sweeper. 117 speed, 111 attack, special attack. It's really good. You have high enough speed where you outspeed a lot, and 111 special attack isn't bad. But with 68 health, 60 defense, and 60 special defense, pretty much everything will one-shot you. If anything hits you super effective, you're guaranteed one-shot. 64 attack. It has pretty good physical moves, but 64 attack is not going to get you anywhere. But one of the thing that makes Salazzle really unique is the ability corrosion, to where it can poison Pokemon regardless of their typing. So you can poison or badly poison types or steel types, which is kind of good. It's more useful for steel types or for poison types really, because you can hit steel types for the most part, unless they're a steel type that its other type, it's a dual typing to where it resists fire. And it's like just setting up. That's would be a really good use for the toxic if it's a poison or steel type that's setting up to be really bulky, because most of the time they don't have to worry about that. But you're fire, so you can hit them. The steel type super effective most of the time. Its other ability is Oblivious, which for Salazzle isn't that great of an ability, because you can't be infatuated or taunted. I mean, you could make use of it if you're setting up. Oblivious would be kind of good if you're using Nasty Plot or something. Oblivious could be used, but Infatuation is something you're not going to run into that often. Being immune to Intimidate doesn't matter to you because you're a special attacker. So unless you're setting up, I mean, Oblivious has its uses, I will say that. But since Salazzle is Poison Fire, it has a lot of resistances actually, with Fighting, Poison, Steel, Fire, Ice. And it has 3 4x weaknesses with Fairy, Bug, and Grass, which is really good. But it has a 4x weakness to Ground, which sucks. It's also weak to Rock, which sucks. Plus, being weak to Water and Psychic is not great. And it has really common, like all these are common weaknesses, especially with the introduction of like Psychic Fangs, and you always have Psychic and Side Shock. Water with like Liquidation now and some other things, so you run into an issue with that. Rock Slide and Earthquake will always be an option, especially with Stone Edge. Well, if they hit you with anything, Rock or Ground, especially Ground. If they hit you with any of these, you're getting one shot pretty much. But one way to run Salazzle. This actually is probably the exception, one of the few exceptions to run. For the most part, Salazzle's abilities don't change much, honestly, because unless you're going out of your way to poison something, Corrosion's not going to have a use. Like, you're not going to take advantage of Corrosion. So, I mean, honestly, unless you're planning to poison something, I would run Oblivious, actually, which I didn't even think about till just now. But the thing that makes Oblivious actually really good on this one is you can Nasty Plot and not have to worry about like a Prankster taunt or anything. But the plan with this one is Nasty Plot, Max Speed, Timid, and you just try to one-shot everything. You get this Focus Sash for protection, especially if you can run against something that also setting up, whether it's being tanky or whatever. You can actually get an advantage of holding on to your Focus Sash. But Sludge Wave, you could run Sludge Wave. I would run Sludge Wave. You could also run Sludge Bomb, but it does less damage, but it has a 30% chance to... It does less damage, but it has a 30% chance to poison. So I would take the Sludge Wave for the more damage versus the 30% chance to flinch. Flamethrower is really good. You also can run Overheat or Fire Blast has the accuracy issue, and Overheat lowers your you can also run Heat Wave too if you want to play the accuracy game. 95. I mean, Heat Wave or Fire Blast. Fire Blast is way more damage than Heat Wave, but it only has 5% less accuracy, but 85. I like Flamethrower for the 100% accuracy. You can also run Overheat. It lowers your special attack by 2, but I mean that only puts you neutral after using Nasty Plot. So also Overheats are really good. Like you're at 1 health and they bring in something you can't one shot. Just Overheat to do a ton of damage. Salazzle actually doesn't have very good like special coverage other than fire and poison. So Dragon Pulse is really its only other option, honestly, for special attacks. Like, what else are you gonna run? Veno Shot? Like, what are you gonna run? Swift? Like, or Mud Slap? Literally everything else it learns is fire or poison. So I would run the Dragon Pulse just in case you run into something that resists both of those moves. So, or you can hit a Dragon type super effective, which is also nice. But another way to run Salazzle, this is more of a double Salazzle. You can also run Focus Sash here if you want to. It's up to you. But Heat Wave, Sludge Wave, they both hit both opponents in doubles, which is really good. Heat Wave has the accuracy, but doesn't matter. It's 90%. But both of these moves can hit both opponents. I like Endure in this last spot. There's other options, but I like Poison Gas too. This one I would like run Corrosion, but Poison Gas if like you know you're about to get KO'd and you're just like, man, I just want to poison them just to get it on them. Or if your ally has the move Venom Drench, because Venom Drench actually makes it, Venom Drench hits both opponents. So if you Poison Gas them and then your ally Venom Drenches, they both opponents have lost pretty much all offensive stats, attack, special attack, and speed. So it's really good for that. But I like the Endure, honestly, in this last spot. You can run Venom Drench actually in this last spot, but it's a risk to think that you'll survive. Like, you'll be able to Poison Gas, take a hit, survive that turn because you're so frail. So I said you can also run a Focus Sash. Helping Hand's an option if you know you're gonna get KO'd, or if you know they have priority. Helping Hand's really good if you have a sash or something, or if you know you have low enough health to where like, oh, they bring in something that can use extreme speed or bullet punch or whatever. You're like, oh, I'm gonna Helping Hand and get KO'd, so your ally's gonna do a ton of damage. But I like Endure just in case if you know they're going to. You can run Endure or Protect in this spot, but if you know they're gonna focus you for that turn, you can just Endure to take the hits and guarantee a survival. But you could also run Protect. It's pretty much the same thing. But Endeavor is also a really good option if you're fat, like, because you're fast enough. So it's like, oh, I have low health from the Life Orb or whatever. Maybe you survived a like weaker hit, and you Endeavor, or you were like you took a resisted hit or something. You Endeavor, bring something out of low health, and you have your ally use a dual hitting move and KO both. That's an option. Some of the other moves you can run though, in doubles especially, like Encore is really good if you outspeed. You can Encore something and trap them into a move, especially if you have something that resists it. Fake Out's always an option, especially in doubles. Fake Out's really good because you can shut down one of your opponents, or if you know the strat they're going to do, they're doing a double strat, you can Fake Out one and shut the strat down, especially if it's Trick Room or something like that, because like especially a Mental Herb or Wrangler or something, you can shut that down with this, because the Mental Herb will take away Taunt. I don't think Mental Herb takes away, I don't think it saves you from Fake Out, if I'm right. Yeah, it doesn't save you from Fake Out, so Fake Out still shuts down like anything Mental Herb set up. But Disable is also an option. If you know like they're gonna, you can run Disable, it'll get the job done. Helping Hand's also really good though, as just if you know you're gonna get KO'd. But another thing, if you really want to make use of Corrosion on Salazzle, I would run something like this. Sash, speed, and you just Toxic them, and then you either Venoshock them, which will do 130, which has 130 base power, which is a lot of damage. Especially if they're, I mean, you run into a bit of an issue here, because if you're hitting them with Corrosion, it means they're Poison or Steel, which means Venoshock is not the best option to use there. So you run into an issue there, but if you Toxic something that isn't getting affected by Corrosion, and then you Venoshock for 130 base power, you also get rid of Sashes and things like that with that. Flamethrower for coverage. You could run Venom Drenches you want in that last spot. Last spot's up to you. Dragon Pulse. Salazzle also runs Dragon Dance, but its attack so low it does not matter. Fake Out. I mean, you can run Foul Play because it actually uses the opponent's attack stat. So Foul Play is also an option, but this Salazzle's more of a just, oh, I know they're setting up type thing. Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, both options. But like, oh, I know. Okay, maybe not Will-O-Wisp on this. But if you know they're setting up or something, man, I wish Salazzle learned Hex. That would be really good. But like, if you know it's, or if you bring Salazzle in on like tankier Steel or Poison type that you know setting up, and they're like, oh, I'm safe from Poison, you could really mess them up with that because they won't have rest at that point. But some of the other moves, again, Foul Play uses their attack stats, so it's a really good move if they're a really powerful physical attacker. Overheat, just massive damage. Taunt, because you're so fast that you can shut down something before they have a chance to do it with Taunt if you're quick enough. Fake Out's really good, especially in doubles to shut an ally down. It sucks that Salazzle learned so many good physical moves like Fire Lash, Gunk Shot, Knockoff, Leech Life. It can't use them though because its attack's so low. Poison Jab, like, it sucks. You can also run Sludge Bomb or Flamethrower in doubles if you just want the single target damage, but I like the dual hit more. Will-O-Wisp is always an option to cripple physical attackers. But you can also do a beat up strat. If you want to do a beat up justified, Salazzle is actually really good with a sash because the attack's so low that it will literally do no damage to whatever it hits. To your ally. But Corrosive Gas has its use. Like, Corrosive Gas, I think, depending on what you do, Corrosive Gas has potential, but it's very, I feel like it's very, very situational. Fake Tears lowers their special defense. Incinerate, if you know Incinerate doesn't do enough damage for me to justify it, but it could destroy a barrier gem, which could shut down a strategy depending on what they're trying to do. But for the most part, I also want Scale Shot, which would be really good if it had a physical attack. Again, Skitter Shot, Skitter Smack. That's why, if only it had a special attack. But that's how you use Salazzle in Pokemon Sword and Shield.